Histories, it's not really about... Welcome back to another deep dive. Today we're tackling a topic that, on the surface, might sound a bit dry, the juvenile justice system in Bangladesh.
Right. A lot of legal jargon.
Exactly. But when you get into these sources, these presentations and legal histories, it's not really about statutes at all. It's a story of how a country's, well, its violent birth trauma completely rewired how it deals with its children.
It really is. We're looking at a whole collection of materials here. Timelines, the actual text of the Shishu Ain, the Children Act, and analysis of the 1971 war.
And our mission really is to see how a legal system has to adapt when it's born from, just massive social collapse.
And you have to start with that context.
You do. The why is so different from what we usually see. In Western criminology, we talk about poverty or peer pressure.
Yeah.
But these notes, they talk about delinquency being inherited from political turmoil.
The context is absolutely vital. Between 1947, when it was East Pakistan, and 1971, its independence, the sources frame this period as being defined by exploitation by rulers from West Pakistan.
So it's not just political.
No, not at all. The argument in the source material is that it created this simmering culture of aggression and, deprivation that just trickled down to the youth.
And then in 1971, the dam just breaks.
Oh.
The Independence War.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the numbers in the source material are just staggering. You're looking at up to 3 million deaths, maybe 40,000 rapes.
Yeah.
And this created a huge refugee crisis. But for our topic, it created a generation of orphans and what the texts actually call war babies.
That phrase, war babies, it really jumped out at me. The state wasn't just dealing with kids stealing food. They were dealing with a generation totally cut off from family structures because of the war.
Precisely. The delinquency was being aggravated by national trauma. So the legal system, it had to play catch up. And if you look at where it started from, it's pretty shocking.
You're talking about the old colonial stuff. I saw the date 1862 somewhere in there.
That's the one. The Indian Penal Code of 1862. Back then, the minimum age of criminal responsibility was 7.
7 years old, that's a first grader?
It was a brutal standard. If you were over 7 and a court thought you were mature enough, you could be treated like an adult criminal.
Unbelievable.
It took until 1922 with the Bengal Children Act to even get separate trials for kids. But the real shift happens post-independence, obviously.
Because suddenly the state has a duty to protect all those orphans we were just talking about.
And the 1971 Constitution was the pivot. You have Articles 27 and 28 guaranteeing equal protection, which sort of paved the way for the 1974 Children Act.
Okay, so that was the first big step.
It was the first time they officially defined a child as someone under 16.
Which, feels like a move in the right direction. Yeah. But reading ahead to the modern laws, 16 still seems pretty low by today's standards.
It was. And that brings us to the real game changer in these documents. The 2013 Children Act, the Shishu Ain, this is where Bangladesh really starts to align with international standards.
The UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, that kind of thing.
All of that, yeah. And the biggest headline here is the age definition.
It jumps up, right?
It's a huge jump. The definition of a child goes from under 16 all the way up to 18. That alone brings a massive number of teenagers under protection instead of, punishment.
I was looking at Section 3 of that 2013 Act. It has this kind of supremacy clause, is that what you call it?
It's amazing, isn't it?
It just says, I don't care what any other law says, this act wins.
You almost never see that in legislation. It means even if another law says arrest this person, if they are under 18, the Children Act is supposed to override it. It also creates a whole new infrastructure.
Like the child welfare boards and the children's court.
And something called KPO.
Right, KPO. It sounds like a mafia term, but it's Child Affairs Police Officer.
That's it. Every single police station is mandated to have one. The thinking is that a kid shouldn't be handled by a regular officer who deals with hardened criminals all day.
They need someone specifically trained for it.
And the whole focus shifts from detention to diversion.
That's the key word.
It is. Sections 45 to 54, they're all about keeping kids out of the formal system. Bail is the default, confidentiality is required, and prison is the absolute last resort.
So to sort of bring this all together for you, we've followed this line from a colonial system that would put a 7-year-old on trial through the trauma of 1971, where the state had to basically become a parent to a generation of orphans, all the way to this 2013 Act, which, at least on paper, is incredibly progressive.
It's a fascinating case study in how law has to respond to social reality. The system had to evolve because society was broken and needed to heal.
But here's the thought I want to leave you with. We talked about that history of political instability. This 2013 act is so ambitious, it demands specialized officers, separate courts, total supremacy over all other laws.
It's a lot to implement.
Right. So in a country still navigating its past, is the system on the ground actually capable of delivering what this perfect law promises? Or is it just an ideal piece of text in an imperfect world?
That's always the gap, isn't it, between policy and practice?
Something to think about. Thanks for diving in with us.